inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because mental muscle is necessary for implementing successful business strategies. It's time to learn how to beat your business no matter what life throws at you. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we discuss the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. What's up, queens and my kings that tune in? Are you ready for a very reflective conversation? I know you saw the title and you're like, what in the world is August on? Because I'm going to be talking about how trauma is a catalyst for business. Now, before I do this, let me explain where this whole thing came from. So I was at a mastermind with my coaches and some amazing people over the weekend. And one of the things that my coach does is invites his therapist to come and talk to us. And we basically end up having a group therapy session. But anywho, he comes out and he makes this claim that our businesses were started as a response to trauma. And he asked the question, do we agree that we started our businesses due to trauma? And then I noticed that he put a post on Facebook and I was looking at the people going back and forward. And one woman was like, I'm a therapist and that's not true. Some people come from entrepreneurial families and they're groomed for entrepreneurship and so on and so forth. And I decided not to entertain the post because I just didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of back and forth responding on social media. It was a really dynamic conversation and I appreciated it. But I thought that I would bring some wisdom and some insights to you from Mrs. Crenshaw's perspective, from Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless's perspective. And so one of the things that I'm told the therapist was I did not consciously start my business as a response to trauma. So I want you all to take that into consideration. Everything that I'm going to be talking about today, I want you to think about like, hey, did I start my business as a response to some trauma that I went through? That's one question. And if you think that the answer is no, then how is your business causing you to have to face your past trauma? So for me, as I was explaining to him, I thought that I was leveling up and I was moving to a new city and doing a new thing. And I didn't even know I was going to become a coach. I was just kind of floating around and meditating and praying like, hey, God, I'm here. What am I supposed to do with my life? And when I started building my business, I realized how God knew something much greater than me, because I had abandonment issues with my mother giving me away at 18 months. I had relationship issues with other women because of the way that one aunt in particular, but some of my aunts treated me that I was raised with, and some trauma that I even dealt with from being raised by my grandmother. And I was seeing how I was having to face my demons with issues with my mother because I was attracting a lot of women, 99% of which have issues with their mama. Putting them down, not being there, allowing them to be abused, giving them up, and so on and so forth. I said, but not only that, I noticed that the dysfunction in relationships, I was seeing behaviors modeled in some of my clients or key collaborators that resembled the same behaviors as some of my aunts, but with different motivation. And so I was having to decipher the difference between betrayal, jealousy, hatred versus, some other shit. And so anyway, I just realized that a lot of the things that I've dealt with, I haven't had to face them until I started my business, Well, now we take it even a step further, because people don't just only experience trauma in your childhood. As you're going, that trauma that's unresolved and hasn't healed then offsprings into more trauma, right? So if my daddy, which he did not raise me, and I feel like there's a lack of love and I'm looking for love in all the wrong places, while I have the initial trauma of rejection from my father, but then I have the added trauma of then going into a dysfunctional marriage where I am abused and rejected by that gentleman. And so I just want you all to keep that in mind as well as you're looking at your business. Is how did some trauma that you face in childhood multiply and manifest into something different? And even before my husband, it was in basically having a whorish lifestyle, do what I want to do when I want to do it. But anywho, let's take another angle. I'm just throwing random shit out there. I hope you're catching this. This may be one of those where you be rewinded and be like, okay, August just spitting random thoughts about this. Like, this was not meant to be some strategic like module or some shit, but I'm hoping that it's sparking some shit in you. And so anywho, now that I'm in a place in my business where it has evolved, so I have this coach that I work with, and her program, it's at $3,000. It's $1,000 a month. You could have never told me, like back in the day, like in the 90s or early 2000s, that I'd ever be paying somebody $1,000 a month to help me lose weight. Like, what the fuck? I spend less than that on groceries every month, for myself. So anywho, but by my business opening the door for me to have other experiences, that is also causing me to have to deal with trauma. So now I'm looking at how much of the pain and the emotion, the negative energy is trapped in my body. And I did literally just have a situation, for those of you that listen to the last podcast episode, where I had to release a lot of shit. And the weight that I was toggling back and forth with, I can't even necessarily say that I ate right. I was still active, but all of a sudden the goal weight, I looked up 2 days later and I was at it. And so your business may also open the door for you to experience opportunities, but in experiencing those opportunities, it will low key be reminding you of your trauma. Even something as simple as the way that I shop for my children. They've gotten to the point that they get on my nerves, and I'm making them make their own money and buy their own toys, because I've bought them toys quite frequently. And so they will ask for them quite frequently. But at the end of the day, why do I do that? That is a result because of trauma. When I was growing up, you only got gifts twice a year, your birthday and Christmas. That's when you could expect to get toys. And for me, it was worse because my birthday is 4 days after Christmas. So I hated it. Everybody else got all these toys. Your birthday's in June, then you got some more in December. And instead of me getting twice as many toys in the month of December, I really only celebrated one day. And I don't want my children to experience scarcity mentality. I want them to understand the value of creating wealth and earning money, but I don't want them to believe that they have to continuously be on this, I want something and never actually see it manifest. So, how is trauma showing up in your business? Is it helping you? Was your trauma a catalyst for that business? Is it part of the passion? Because I just want to, close, with this. Healing is a journey and it's never over. And remnants of whatever you go through will come back in cycles. And what will be different is how you recognize it and how you respond. I even had a recent situation where I had to speak about something that I was actually dissatisfied with one of my coaches. And I held on to it for longer than I probably should have. But that was because of trauma. Like, oh God, whenever I go to people and I have a problem and they're in a position of authority, this is how it's always panned out, blah, 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 blah. And it's a bunch of other shit wrapped around that. But the bottom line is, my mind and my imagination was trying to play it out to be something that my coach had there's nothing about him that resembles that part of my past. That was just my mind playing something. And so in relationships, things are not perfect, and it definitely wasn't like something so bad that I'm like, yo, fuck you, coach. But it was like, this is something that needed to be expressed because I was wrestling with an issue, and it took me having to process prior trauma to get to a point to be able to talk to him because of what I've dealt with before with men in leadership. So you going to your next level in your business, I know you're thinking strategy, strategy, strategy. And I keep telling y'all, if that's all it was, all of us would Google that shit and be billionaires. Fuck millionaires. Yeah, I said fucking billionaires. You have to change. Your next comma in your business, it ain't coming unless you lean into you and do the more difficult work. So I hope this episode has been highly reflective and that it helps you face some things that you did not know you had to face. But anywho, remember, if you need help with your mindset and your business, you want to attract more clients, you're dealing with burnout, you're trying to figure out like, how do I master this online thing? You need to master your mindset and your messaging. Then reach out to me. Go and get the free gift. Go to workwithaugust.com. Whether you spell it with the E or without, I got both domains. So head on over. Go get your case study video. Look at it. And if it resonates with you, then let's connect. All right. So I appreciate you all. You have a fabulous day. I'm outie. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendontbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in